Hey everyone, doing a new video review. There's this guy called Hamza97, seems to be a very popular YouTuber. I've never heard of him before, but the Andrew Tateification of YouTube and Islam seems to be growing at a pace now. This guy's got a very similar kind of channel, doing all the advice for men to get women and to make money and, improve yourself, man up and all this, and avoid degeneracy, all that kind of crap. So he just seems to be a carbon copy of Andrew Tate, essentially, and he is now following him into Islam. He's reading the Quran. Now, the guy is a British Pakistani background, so I think he was raised Muslim, or at least he was when he was a kid, but then kind of went away from it. He was talking about that at the start of the video, but I'm just going to get into the bit where he's kind of talking more about actually getting into Islam. So let's see what he's got to say.
To my friends, I abandoned my race, my religion, my faith, my God, and I indulged in the pleasures of the West, the degeneracy that's available here. You know, there's those temptations, whether you're a religious man or not, there's those temptations that you will have, those desires, promiscuity of fucking these girls here, of watching porn, taking drugs, of partying, drinking alcohol, enjoying yourself. I did all of that, and you can literally see my journey through these hundreds of videos that I've made. You can see that this is real, that I indulged in that lifestyle. We have hundreds of videos.
Yeah, well, looking at your YouTube channel, you're not just indulging in this lifestyle. You seem to be promoting it, at least to a certain extent. I mean, I've seen some of the titles of your videos saying, certain tips and tricks. This is how you get the girls to be obsessed with you and stuff like this. So it doesn't sound like you really moved too far away from it.
Of me in parties, hooking up with girls. I enjoyed that lifestyle, all that the godless West has to offer. And here I am today in front of you saying, it wasn't that great. Why is it that you see men like Andrew Tate, who, again, has experienced like all that the West has to offer, all these hedonistic pleasures, convert into Islam? Because once you fulfill...
Yeah, because he hasn't converted to Islam. That's why you see it. I mean, it's a grift. It's an obvious bullshit lie. And he's doing it for a new audience and to make money.
All of these primal desires of yours, you're left with this spiritual numbness, this emptiness, but then also this paranoia, this fear of what may arise when you are a godless man. And now, if you're watching this and you're thinking this is weird, and wait, why is Hamza preaching religion to us? I don't want you to feel like you're not welcome so much. I'm not religious, not yet. I've been atheist for literally most of my life.
Alright, so you're not religious yet, you're still an atheist, yet you're kind of promoting the idea of reading the Quran for some reason.
Only just in the last few months have I realised, like, something has got to change. No,
yeah, you realise that Andrew Tate's making a bit of a killing out of this, and why not jump on board?
Tate has recently just come out and said that he's Muslim, and he's a man that I respect. I hope that this video doesn't seem like I'm just imitating him or copying him, because this is a major...
It's exactly what it seems like, because I'm sure this is exactly what it is. You realise that there's some cash and there's some clout to be made with the Muslim community by doing this nonsense, so you jump on board.
Life decision that we're talking about, but he's a man that I respect, and when he's gave the arguments for and against believing in God, for and against being religious, it makes total sense to me. There was some...
What arguments did he give? I went through meticulously the video where he's talking to Muhammad Hijab. There are no arguments there. It's short of the West is degenerate, which is something you go on and on about in this video, and how Islam is strong and Christianity is weak and blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm fighting evil. There's no actual real reason, which is why it's almost certainly a grift. There's no content there. Can you do any better?
Something that I realised a while ago. I've been reading the book Sapiens. It's like a very famous book, you might have heard of it. It's kind of like the history of how our species of like humans as like sapiens have developed. And
yeah, well, you might come into conflict in that when you read a little story about Adam and Eve in the Quran, so maybe you haven't come to that chapter yet.
Goes on to say that one of our most important developments was how advanced our brain got to the point that we could start to think of things that aren't exactly right in front of us. We can imagine, just think about that, we can literally imagine things, we can fantasize about things, we can think of something that is not in front of us right now and share that story to our fellow man, and that's what causes us to unite. Because before we had this advanced...
That's what causes us to unite. Religion. So yeah, before like we're banging each other over the head with rocks, and then we got a brain powerful enough to think of religion, and that somehow united us. It's the exact opposite. I mean, it just became another way of dividing, being tribalistic and slaughtering each other. And also, as our brains got bigger, we were also able to make more deadly weapons. So yeah, your narrative is absolute garbage. And yeah, so let's carry on.
Brain, we were Neanderthals, just bashing each other with rocks.
No, we weren't Neanderthals. Neanderthals were a separate branch of the human family. Sorry, it's a slight diversion, but if you're going to talk about this stuff, maybe you should be a little bit more educated. Neanderthals were a different branch of the human family. Now, there were some interbreeding between them and us Homo sapiens, which is why most modern humans have got a trace of DNA from our Neanderthal cousins, but no, we didn't evolve from the Neanderthals.
And as soon as our consciousness got to that level where we could believe in something bigger than us, we joined together to say, there's such a thing called God, and maybe...
Yeah, there's such a thing called God, and if you don't believe in him, we're going to kill you. Yeah, I mean, it really worked out well, didn't it?
If we follow what he says and be good people, we'll prosper. And if we delay gratification, we'll get into heaven. Now, if you've watched a bunch of my videos, what is the most important concept of self-improvement that I ever talk about? Instant gratification versus delayed gratification.
Really? Again, looking at all your videos, it just seems like you are indulging in gratification. And again, what about religion is delaying gratification anyway? It's not like in under Islam you have to live as a celibate. I mean, you can have up to 4 wives, so how is this any delay of gratification?
Ultimate delayed gratification is the promise of heaven. Be good in this life for a better afterlife. I teach you nothing original whatsoever. Everything that I say comes from religion. Be a good person, be kind, be generous, meditate, be grateful, be a strong person.
Kill the non-believer, kill the apostate, kill the person who is the same religion as you but it's got a slightly different sect, kill the gay people, and kill women, and I mean, it's just... Yeah, I mean, it sounds really, really peaceful.
The family rejected degeneracy and hedonism. But I realised a while ago when I was reading this book...
Reject degeneracy. Both Islam and Christianity allow slavery. So, is slavery not degenerate?
Sapiens that, we have this advanced brain that we can believe in things. It made me realise that as a human being, because of the capability of our advanced brain, we are always going to worship something.
Yeah, that's bullshit. It's just... absolute nonsense. You're not worshipping something if you're an atheist. Yes, you might have other passions in life, other things you like doing, but it's not anywhere the same as, say, worshipping a god.
I'm going to say this again. You are always worshipping something. If you're an atheist, which I am, so I'm not being hateful or anything, I am.
Yeah, you're an atheist, so then what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, it's a completely stupid thing to say then, isn't it?
But if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, you're still worshipping something.
No, you're not.
You still have some kind of God, okay? It's not a religious God. It's not the God from the Bible. It's not Allah. But you still worship something. I carry this concept. I hope this makes sense. I carry this concept in my mind, okay? You're always worshipping something. Religious people worship a God and a holy book. Atheists, what do they worship? What do atheists scream and go crazy about? What do people in, this godless country, I'm in the UK, what do people worship here?
Godless country? I mean, we just had the UK census, and, yeah, the number of non-believers has risen, but it's still... majority religious, so how's it a godless country?
Rappers, gang members. If you're uncertain about that, you can search on
YouTube. The average atheist worships rappers. Okay, this will be interesting. What's your evidence for this?
Right now, search for some rapper and write concert at the end of it. And you'll see all these people are crazy. Oh my god, oh, that's the guy I listen to.
Alright, so you're not copying Andrew Tate, but this is the exact same bullshit he said in his video when he was talking to Hamza97. Oh, look at all these people worshipping at concerts, it's pathetic and blah blah blah, and yeah, they're without religion, they're just worshipping these rap stars or these musicians. Yeah, which is absolute bollocks. It's just people going to a concert. Yeah, they might enjoy it. They might even idolise, in some respects, the rapper just because it's a famous person. Yeah, people can get kind of hooked up on the kind of famous side of things. It's worship.
He is their God. When you live in a godless country, you're still being given people to worship. Now the issue is the person that you're worshipping isn't this holy, almighty power. It's not like this force of good. It's this random fucking thug.
Yeah, random thug. And religion isn't asking you to worship that. I mean, it just shows how much you must have really... how far you've got with the Quran reading. I mean, Allah, and well, like any other god as well, those books are full of acts of thuggery. Violence that is either directly commanded by the god, or at least condoned by the god, or carried out under his inspiration by the prophets and by the followers of each god. So, I mean, how is that not thuggery? That, to me, that is the ultimate thuggery, because it's drenched in this ridiculous claim that this is moral. So, again, what point are you making here? Nothing.
Degenerate who's got women twerking in his music video and he's talking about stabbing people and taking drugs. And maybe you've known this already, because I've kind of known this for a while. So what's the new revelation that I've had? Well, I am quite certain that this is how these countries will fall. Once you start to open your eyes to this possibility that the country that we are in doesn't always have to stay safe. There's countries out there right now that are in the middle of a war. Now, I've lived in the UK, and maybe you're in the UK or some country in the West which seems relatively safe. We've never had a war in our lifetimes on our own soil. The thought of being dominated by...
Well, maybe in not your lifetime, because you're like 27 years old, but yeah, I mean, we have had war in our soil, and World War II is within people's lifetime, so, you know, what are you talking about?
Different country, if you live in the UK or the US, it seems something like that wouldn't happen, because, yeah, the America's really, really strong. Is it? Because the people here are weak. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. The people here are weak. The people in the West are weak. There's no families. There's no reasons for a man to be...
There's no families in the West. Yeah, right. We're all just animals breeding in pens, are we? No families. Yeah. I mean, what planet is this guy from?
strong anymore, because there's no families. There's no, like, I hate this term, there's no good women. All the women have fallen prey to, like, the evil propaganda telling...
Yeah. I'm gonna skip ahead, because it's just this typical kind of Andrew Tate thing of, yeah, all the women are whores and bitches and sluts and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's just nonsense. So I'll skip ahead to the next bit. He's actually vaguely talking about Islam.
I don't believe in God, right? Maybe you've seen over the last, like, 1 year or so that I've really started to consider this more and more, to the point now that I'm literally reading the Quran. My mom used to make me read that when I was a child, and, you know, I never really wanted to. I always, like, struggled or whatever. And now I've actively started reading it by my own accord. And I called my mom 2 days ago and told her, and I just saw, like, the biggest smile on her face when I told her that I started reading, you know, our holy book. And she just got, like, so happy. She told me it was the right thing. She told me...
I love the way you say our holy book, as in yours and your mum's. I mean, you've been reading it for a couple of days, and you're still calling yourself an atheist. So, how is it your holy book?
Yeah, this was the way forward. Right here, right now, you either fully believe me, you agree with me, and you're like, yeah, this is amazing. Hamza, like, turn Muslim, and he'll be one of our brothers. That's amazing, and that's awesome. But maybe you're watching this right now, and you're just feeling weird and thinking, okay, this guy's preaching to us. I don't care about religion. Religion's not important.
No, I'm not feeling weird. I'm just feeling like I'm watching Andrew Tate again. So that's it.
Trust me when I say I felt exactly the same way for all of my life. Maybe you're not there just yet, but there will be a point as you keep advancing yourself in improvement, especially when you start looking into, like, the wider scale of things. You start really investigating why countries rise and fall. You start investigating the kind of country that you want to raise your children, and then you start to realize that countries that eventually give up their culture, their values, and their religion end up getting fucking decimated by a...
Alright, I mean, this is so stupid. So, yeah, so what you're saying, all those Muslim majority countries who've really kept their hardcore values and religion and etc., they're the ones that have avoided decimation, except for Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan, Palestine, Jordan, Egypt, Nigeria. I mean, either these countries have been directly decimated through war, or they've got civil wars going on, or they've got tons of active terrorists amongst the population that are driving a lot of people to leave. So how did holding on to Islam help with preventing from being decimated?
Another country that's kept their hardcore values. There are no nuclear families here. There's no reason for a man...
There's no nuclear families in the UK. Really? So, yeah, just there's nobody married with children at all, even though that is the vast majority of people are in that situation. Yeah, so just keep making shit up. Yeah, so I'm going to skip ahead now. I mean, there really isn't that much more content to this guy. Most of it is just him prattling on about the degenerate West, the godless West, the atheist West, and even though still he's supposed to be an atheist, but yeah, he's still going to say that for the audience. I will skip to this last bit at the end, which I just think is hilarious. Let's see what his counterpoint is, who he's pointing to as a good example of the answer to all this godless, degenerate West.
I don't know if I sound crazy and everyone's going to think, oh, I've just lost it now. But once you start looking into this and you look into this concept of these countries are falling because of the degradation of like strong masculine virtues, and they're becoming more feminine, more emotional, they're becoming more like politically correct, which is weakness. And you start to think, okay, well, every part of society is getting worse with this. And then you see the rise of strong countries that are still enforcing like hard fucking discipline rules. You know, we always thought China was crazy. You always used to hear, oh, China's like advanced social media and they've done this and they've done this. We thought, oh yeah, they're so crazy. Why don't they just like allow people to go onto Facebook? This is why. They don't want Western degeneracy to infiltrate their culture there. I don't even think it's enough to just have good values.
Right. So the answer, which he's found, is China. China, which I believe is the country with the most atheists in the world. I think there was a Gallup poll about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago that showed something like half of the country were atheist, and another 25% of it is made up of people who are irreligious, so they might have some kind of vague spiritual beliefs, but they're certainly not part of any organised religion. So he thinks the most atheist country in the world is the answer to the godless, degenerate, atheist West. I mean, it's just so fucking dumb. And on top of that, you know, you're promoting Islam. What are China doing to the Muslim Uyghurs? I mean, you're that fucking stupid that you don't even know that the Muslim minority are being oppressed there, put into concentration camps by the reports that have come out. And you're not going to talk about that? No. They're just the strong, non-degenerate, religious country, apparently. Yes, I'm just going to skip ahead.
How interesting is that? That you are seeing the rise of strong men who are from Western countries, who have indulged in every pleasure that the degenerate Western world has to offer, and you are seeing these men take a big step away from the Western world and telling you like it's not even that great. You're literally seeing guys who have indulged in everything, and they're telling you that it's not that great. Now I'll speak directly to the Muslims who are watching this thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, how do we explain that? Yeah. You and Andrew Tate and anybody else who is on this are liars. I mean, that's how we explain it. I mean, if anybody seriously thinks that you're not still indulging in all these things and you're not just doing this as a way to make money and get a wider audience, then they're incredibly gullible. This is just obvious nonsense, but it's profitable nonsense. So yeah, this is why you're doing it. You need no other reason.
The young Muslims who might have some kinds of temptations right now, I can emphasize with you, especially if you live in countries like this, and all you're seeing is just ass every day. Ass on TikTok, ass on social media. Your school teacher's a stripper because that's, oh, well, you know, sex workers. Your school teacher's got a fucking OnlyFans these days. Oh, you know, we've got to support sex workers. As a young Muslim man, you're being sold sex, and the temptation will keep increasing. Hopefully you can see a man like me, maybe a man like Tate, and just think these guys have indulged in that, and they're literally still telling you that it's not worth pursuing. I've started reading the Quran, and maybe you should too.
Yeah, so what a pile of old crap that was. Again, I mean, didn't think it was possible, but you managed to be worse than Andrew Tate, and I really thought he was bottom of the barrel. You've been given a single reason for why anybody should actually take Islam seriously, why anyone should read it. You barely seem to have started it yourself, assuming that that isn't just another lie. But let's say you have started reading it. You said at the start of your video you were kind of raised Muslim when you were a little kid, so maybe you've got some memory of it there, but just what in the religion is valuable? How is it going to help with whatever you think are the problems in the world? Or just why do you think it's true? Again, it's just more Andrew Tate-fication, no content, no value to it, and yet I'm sure you'll get loads of cheers from Muslims who are going to say, oh yeah, this is absolutely fantastic, you know, and another great man who's giving validation to our religion. And you're not, you're just doing it for the cash. Anyways, so I hope this is the last one I've got to do of these kinds of videos, but I can see more people joining in because it's, you know, they'll be thinking of their wallets. But yeah, this is Drastic Measures reviewing an Andrew Tate like grifter, and I'll see you in the next one.